China is building the world's largest water diversion project, which poses a challenge to nature. The country has thousands of kilometers of man-made canals, aqueducts, and tunnels through the mountains, designed to provide fresh water to the dry northern industrial population centers. In this video, we take a closer look at China's controversial South-to-North Water Diversion Project, including how much it cost, why it was done, and what it has done for the Chinese people. Since ancient times, China has been blessed and cursed by its geography. Much of eastern China has been permanently inhabited by human civilization due to the west-to-east flow of the Yangtze and Yellow rivers. For thousands of years, it was a fertile floodplain for most of the year, and the land itself was able to feed China's growing population. In fact, China's Yellow River Basin is one of the largest and most stable areas of farmland development in the world. On the other hand, the northern and westernmost parts of the country are either dry or mountainous. From the Taklamakan and Gobi deserts in the north to the harsh towering landscapes of the Himalayas and Tibetan Plateau, much of China's northwestern region is sparsely populated and unsuitable for agriculture. This is illustrated by the fact that 94% of the Chinese population lies east of this line. An imaginary line divides the country into two opposing halves. Historically, Beijing and surrounding northern cities have long been the country's population, agricultural, and commercial centers. But as China's population and wealth grew at unprecedented rates in the mid-20th century, finding vital resources like water in the region quickly became difficult. Northern cities such as Beijing have long relied on groundwater to feed their populations. However, this limited source of fresh water was quickly overexploited due to increasing urban and industrial demands. To make matters worse, the nearby Gobi Desert is expanding, and dust storms are becoming more frequent. Severe dust storms have ravaged China since Monday, affecting at least 409 million Chinese. This is northern China's worst dust storm in a decade. Up to 3,600 square kilometers of grassland are cleared by desert every year in a process known as desertification, roughly twice the size of Luxembourg. This desertification is mainly caused by human activities such as deforestation, climate change, and the depletion of groundwater sources. In the early 1950s, it became clear that northern China would soon no longer be able to provide enough water for its population. As cities in the north continue to develop, water resources continue to dwindle. China must find a way to feed hundreds of millions of people in historically arid regions. To address growing water shortages in northern China, Mao Zedong, founder of the People's Republic of China, proposed in 1952 the idea of diverting water from the south to the arid regions of the north. The south is rich in water resources, but the north is short of water resources. 50 years later, in 2002, after years of extensive planning and research, Mao Zedong's vision was finally approved by the State Council. Officially known as the North-South Water Diversion Project, the massive project is an ambitious plan to build a series of interconnected aqueducts, tunnels, reservoirs, and dams to move fresh water from the water-rich south to the arid north. The project will include three main canal systems: the eastern, central, and western routes. The eastern line starts near Yangzhou town and crosses the main stream of the Yangtze River. A large, ancient pumping station is responsible for pumping water from the Yangtze River into the world's longest artificial waterway, the Jing-Hang Canal. From there, the water flows through underground tunnels over the Yellow River. Finally, a series of aqueducts lead the water to Tianjin, a coastal city bordering the capital Beijing in the northwest. Overall, the eastern line of the project has a total length of more than 1,100 kilometers. Construction on the eastern route began in 2002 and was expected to deliver fresh water as early as 2013. However, the project has been delayed by more than 4 years due to multiple construction delays. Since 2017, Tianjin has finally achieved an annual fresh water supply of about 1 billion cubic meters, directly benefiting as many as 10 million people in the city. Unlike the eastern leg of the megaproject, the central route does not currently have any existing water diversion infrastructure. Therefore, the construction requirements of this line are higher. The starting point of the central route is Danjiangkou Reservoir. The height of the Danjiangkou Dam must be increased by 15 meters to allow the water to flow downstream and north smoothly. This caused the water level in the reservoir to rise so high that water could flow through canals and aqueducts without pumping stations. However, as a result of these changes to the Danjiangkou Dam, more than 300,000 people had to be displaced from their homes to make way for the canal and larger reservoir. The rest of the central route consists of artificial canals and aqueducts, forming a kind of highway, elevated waterways and underground waterways across the central plains of China. A notable part of the central route is the Saho Aqueduct, which stretches over 12 kilometers across the Saho River. Finally, the center line arrived at the destination, the capital Beijing. The middle line was completed in 2014, with a total length of more than 1,200 kilometers. After the project was completed, about one-third of the water flowing through the Han River was diverted. This has created major problems for the millions of people who depend on the Han for their water supplies. So in July 2022, the Chinese government announced that a huge underground tunnel would be built to provide the necessary water. The tunnel will run 1 kilometer below the surface, linking the Three Gorges Dam to the Han River and eventually to Beijing's central line. When completed, the tunnel will be the longest and deepest artificial waterway ever constructed. It is estimated that by 2030, the annual water diversion in the middle line will reach 12 cubic kilometers, accounting for about one-third of the total capacity of the Three Gorges Reservoir. Unlike the previous two routes, the west route of China's South-to-North Water Diversion Project is still in the planning stage. Of the three, it was by far the most challenging to build. The proposed western route envisions a series of waterways and tunnels linking the Yangtze River to the Yellow River through the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, which is about 3 to 5 kilometers above sea level. In terms of the region, terrain, and climate alone, the implementation of the project is extremely difficult. Also, when heading to the Western Front, engineers actually had to carve out mountains in the rock to traverse the difficult terrain. The Western Line is expected to be completed by 2050. After the completion of the Western Line, it can serve nearly 100 million people. There have also been unofficial plans for the Western Front in the past, diverting water from transboundary rivers originating in China, such as the Brahmaputra and the Mekong, which flow through India and Southeast Asia, respectively. India has expressed concern in the past about possible Chinese developments on the Brahmaputra, although this was never an official plan for the project. They worry that China's ability to manipulate the river's flow could cause concern for the Indian government. For the Chinese government, on the other hand, the South-to-North Water Diversion Project, although not yet fully completed, has proven to be a huge success. According to Chinese state media, the project will benefit as many as 140 million Chinese citizens in water-scarce areas. However, Chinese local and provincial governments have different views on the project. On one hand, Sichuan, Hubei, and other southern upstream provinces oppose the Yangtze River North Stream plan. For them, building the western route would deal a major blow to the region's water security and hydropower sector. On the other hand, western provinces such as Gansu and Qinghai believe that the construction of the western route will bring much-needed socio-economic and agricultural stability to the local area. While the project has proven beneficial to some northern Chinese cities, the South-to-North Water Diversion Project has drawn significant attention from local and international environmentalists. The entire project consists of artificial waterways that do not correspond to the flow of Chinese rivers from west to east. As a result, hundreds of natural rivers have been disturbed by canal construction, and some rivers have even been completely dried up by man-made diversions. In fact, 600 rivers have disappeared during the construction of the project due to the scale and volume of the water transfer project. Additionally, industrial waste and sewage inadvertently entered these artificial rivers. Taking the central line as an example, starting from the Danjiangkou Reservoir, industrial cities such as Xi'an pour industrial waste into the Han River, and the Han River flows directly into the reservoir, and finally enters the central line and goes up to Beijing. Since a large portion of these man-made rivers flow through hundreds of towns and villages across the country, many people, businesses, and industries dump their waste into these man-made waterways. During the opening of the Middle Route project, the natural flow of the Yangtze River was disturbed by as much as 36%. Experts worry that the seawater of the Yellow Sea may flow back into local water sources in China's coastal cities in large quantities. If the Yangtze River slows down further and more water is channeled into the artificial river, the salty water from the Yellow Sea could even reach the artificial canal itself. Once such an incident occurs, it may trigger a nationwide water crisis. Another environmental factor is also one of the main reasons why the Western Front has been in the planning stage for a long time. Official plans for the Western Front included building tunnels in the mountains of China. Construction of the Western Front could trigger landslides and environmental damage to local flora and fauna. In addition, the Qinghai Tibet Plateau is a seismically active area. Building large projects in the region could cost the Chinese government billions of dollars if a major earthquake strikes the region. Today, 2 of the 3 lines planned for the North-South Water Diversion Project have been completed. Overall, the total project cost is estimated to be around $62 billion. That price doesn't even take into account that the Chinese government will soon need billions of dollars to maintain more than 3,000 kilometers of canals, aqueducts, dams, tunnels, and reservoirs. Despite the high financial outlay, the project's initial goal was to provide clean water to northern China. The project is not yet fully implemented. What is your opinion on the South-to-North Water Diversion Project? Do you think the project's benefits outweigh its environmental costs? Should the Western Front be built? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.